Hey, what's up, Janet? I see you. Yeah, just giving you time to share the page. A lot to talk about today. Kim Tyree, what's up? Happy Sunday. We're doing good. We're doing good, Janet. It's a good Sunday. All right, y'all, what's going on? It's the One Night Show, and you know we do this thing every Sunday from 4 to 5 o'clock. We got a lot to talk about, recap on a couple of things, last week's show, a bunch of things that are going on in the world. We got to talk about things and things and things and things. 71 degrees in New York City, mostly sunny. Nice day for a little barbecue. Traffic was backed up on Steinway Street an hour ago, but I think we cleared. Coast is clear. You can get down the street now. They removed the vehicle that was in the way. So we rocking and rolling. Big shout out to all you guys that tuned into the real discussion on Friday. We had a good time. We talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about relationships and all that. It was very nice. Hello, everyone. God bless. What's up, Maria? What's that? Jesus, God bless. Good to talk to you. Let's crack it.
Maria.
There you go.
Ow, only on One Night Show.
There you go.
Greetings all.
That's what's happening. So we're going to get it done. Things have been good. Big week. Updated the system. I know some of y'all got a notification. I apologize for that. When I was updating the system and making sure that everything was going to run smooth for the new update, as you can see all of us on the screen at the same time. We have advertisements down the bottom and all that stuff. After this show, we have Respectively Yours with my man Jeff coming in.
Jeff.
At about 6 o'clock, and tomorrow at 5 o'clock, you can see it on the screen. We got Maria Davis.
Okay.
I Can't Be Silenced.
Okay.
Is the name of her show. If you don't know about Maria, please Google Maria, because her resume is too long for me to read.
Yeah.
But she's an AIDS activist and a party promoter at the same time. One Night Show.
One Night Show, one people.
Yes. Kim Tyree says, are you guys in a new space? Yeah, we're in a new space, kind of. I'm just saying.
We'll have our setback eventually. We still rebuilding, right?
All right, yes we are. Maria said, finally caught you guys live. Yes, Maria.
Ooh, nice.
And it's so dope that you were here on the live. And as you can see, we actually do interact with the chat room. Everybody's part of the show. Sometimes we do Zooms and all that kind of stuff. Big week. Like I said, I was in the updating studio, making sure that everything was rocking and rolling in tip-top shape and all that. And I got Stan. I'm blocking Stan. Stan's like, move out of the way.
Don't block me out there.
Oh, you know what happened? Yeah, because I lowered the camera.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It was up high.
Seen you do it.
But yeah, so that's kind of like what my week was. And this weekend the show's really good. And you know, hey man, we just did some stuff. Saundrea Coleman, what's going on with you? What happened this week?
Okay, greetings.
Super activist and producer.
Yeah, greetings all. It's good to be here again with you all on One Night Your Family, and Gary Fax is in the building. This is gonna be real nice.
Yes, indeed.
So throughout the week, you know, I do my normal check-in with the seniors, see if they're doing okay, if they any needs are being met, for any. Making sure there are no food insecurities, you know, making sure they have PPE, and also connecting them with the center if they're not, because if they need social work or something like that. I'm going to jump into Wednesday. I was part of an initiative with the Public Advocate's office titled Black Faith Leaders and Black Tech Experts. And it was a screening also of coded bias. And it was an invitation only event, and it was collaborated and in partnership with Manhattan Borough President and myself.
Great.
So that was a really good event. It was, it was really informative, and I was also kind of closed it out also to talk about some of the work we did with them with Community Board 8 with the Social Justice Committee, in which I co-chair. On Thursday, I met with the clinical director of our center, the Isaac Center, so shout out to them. What I'll be doing there once a week, I have to get my proposal together, I will be teaching and helping people craft their bios. So
Okay,
the
great.
seniors, residents, whoever wants to do it, is going to be a hybrid type 1 hour a week. I'll be doing it. So I'm excited about that because, everybody needs a bio. Everybody needs to tell their story. And I also say, your bio can become your obituary in a sense, especially if you write it in the third person. So, it's not going to be all about the grammar and stuff, but I want them to help get their ideas, their what they can remember about themselves, especially with the seniors, right? A lot of seniors, their story never was told. It's something so great in your bio. That's something so important that you might want people to know about you. And you
Right.
got a bio, Stan?
No, but
Oh, what, Rock, you got a bio?
I'm gonna have to create one now. You make me
Yes.
think about it.
Okay. What about you?
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't have one. Okay. We
All
got to
right.
work on you.
I gotta work on
so
it.
yeah, it's good. And you might be called to be honored, and they ask, send me a bio. So
Right,
you
right,
need to have a bio, and they always are updated. Correct, Rock?
That is
always
correct.
getting updated. I have 3, a small one, a brief one, and a full, extensive one. And they're always updated. So get your bios. If you need help, hit me up. I'll help you out. In the evening, I was part of homelessness in New York City. It was a misconception. It was misconception versus reality one-on-one with Homes RX, and they will be coming on our show eventually down the road.
Okay, great.
It was a very a great initiative. On yesterday, the Homicide Coalition, we did feeding in the community with the faith-based leaders and groups that deal with us. And today marks day number 439 of US for BLM at Carl Schutz Park at 7 p.m. So that's basically my week. And that was it for me.
All right,
oh,
all right.
and your retreat.
Right,
but we'll talk
right.
about that.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
at your retreat,
Yes,
and I got
yes.
to talk yesterday at your
Yeah.
retreat
Yep,
just to
yep.
tell people how great you are, Stan.
Well, I did appreciate that. So my week, I guess we're moving or focusing on the meeting we're going to have in Ravenswood this coming Tuesday. I'm so proud of the Ravenswood residents because
Okay.
now they're taking ownership of it, in terms of handing out the flyers
Good.
and knocking on doors and getting their residents and their neighbors involved. And this is really big because we're really trying to make sure we defeat the blueprint and make sure that this does not move forward. And that particular development, the resident council president is in favor of it, it appears, but some of her board members are coming to our meeting. And once you kind of get educated as to what this is about, then you kind of move more towards our side, So I see the momentum building in Ravenswood. It's like a model that we're going to be able to take to other developments and really get the residents involved, because as an organization, and any of these organizations, they have to be and must be led by the residents. NYCHA is not going to be saved if the residents don't step up and save it themselves. So
That's right.
it's a long fight. I'm telling you guys out there, it's not like we're going to win this fight tomorrow. You need to be in this for the long run, because the people that we're fighting against, they're in it for the long run. This is a long-term battle for them. So if we don't have the endurance to stay in it, then we're going to lose. So I'm just so encouraged to see these residents step up in this manner, and then we'll be moving over to Astoria and Woodside and doing the same thing there. But organizing is tough. It's a tough time to organize now because we're getting ready to go. It's beginning to get cold again. So can we organize indoors? Can we have meetings indoors? And these are some of the questions that we're addressing, in our retreat with the Justice for All Coalition to figure out how we're going to move forward over the next couple of months, to really keep this fight going. But to all listening, the blueprint is horrible. We're here to defeat it. We're uncompromising in that goal, and we're not going to pull no punches. So if you are for the blueprint, whether you are a resident council president, whether you are an elected official, whether you are somebody that so-called speaks for the community, then we're going to call you out, because we cannot and will not allow public housing to be privatized and
That's
finished.
right.
Now, I want to say, if we don't win, there will be no more
Public
housing in New York City. And can you imagine
We not
what
letting
that
that
would look
happen.
like? If this is the last affordable housing that we have left.
True.
So this
True
is the fight,
affordable.
the true affordable housing. So join this fight. You know,
Yeah.
residents, stick in it, get involved.
Yeah.
Don't be discouraged. I know it's tough. You know, you're dealing with your own individual issues in your apartments. You know, houses are falling down all around you.
Yeah.
We're in a pandemic. We have a lot of pain and suffering.
Yeah.
But this fight has to be won. You know, so glad for the residents in Ravenswood. Glad for all
Shout
the
out.
organizers
Great.
out there that are
Yeah.
fighting. Glad for all the resident leaders, the leadership that's moved, is rising up
Right.
amongst residents. It's so good to see it. We have 3 powerful ones on last week, you know, and the work that they're doing is just amazing.
Get fired up.
Right, so I'm encouraged. I think we're gonna win this fight. We're not in this fight to lose.
Well,
We're
we
not
got
in
a
to lose.
call to action in the chat room, so let me just read what's happening. First of all, Maria said hello, Saundrea. Hello, Stan. Hello, Rock Logic. Thank
Hey.
you. No one ever says hello to me. Thank you. Brenda says Queensbridge. I guess she was asking a question about that. Maria says, Stan, we need you out here in Gravesend houses in Coney Island, and we have no board as of yet, and elections are coming up, and I'm running.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, big shout out.
So
Wow.
listen,
You need to come on the show.
Yeah, come on the show and reach
Connect
out.
with us and DM us, inbox us.
I'll be supportive. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Me and Saundrea, we'll come on.
I
out
can
there.
give you some tips.
And Shaniqua Harley says, can I get help with my transfer from Queensbridge, please? That's
Where
the
do you wanna
question
go?
she's asking.
And definitely inbox me.
Yeah.
Inbox me, please.
Stan Morris.
And we'll see how we can
Or
help you.
inbox us and say you want to reach out to Stan, and we'll push it over.
Yeah, push
so
it
we all
over.
can access it. Yeah,
So we can see about that transfer,
yeah,
Shaniqua.
right. Yeah, and y'all wasn't seeing things. It wasn't no ghost. The ghost was Rock messing with the camera.
Yeah, I'm moving around.
It was moving around. I'm glad the camera wasn't on me because I was cracking up. I'm like, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, no, I had to get the gun.
It was going up, down.
Okay.
So they might have like, what's going on?
And then we have our guy Gary Fax in the house. What's up, Gary?
Gary Fat, give him some. Give him the beat. Give him the
Yeah,
beat.
you know what? I'm gonna tell you why I'm giving the beat. This guy's on more shows than I am. He's
Talk
on.
about it.
This guy's on the Real Discussion. He's on Hip Hop Boulevard show. Now he's on Night.
Came on my show today.
Yeah,
He was
hip hop,
on
health, and politics.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, this guy is a superstar.
He was asked to be on,
Boardwalk Open Media.
Yeah, he's one of the
Does well.
rotating co-hosts of the Hip Hop Health and Politics.
On all shows. So, what's going on, buddy?
I'm just filling in for Mike Jones,
Right.
and I guess give my input in the conversation here. I mean,
Okay.
I'm a resident of NYCHA.
Okay.
That's right. That's
What
right.
development can you say?
Rutgers.
Okay.
Down in Lower Manhattan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've dealt with my issues with them, and at the time I was working in the mayor's office, and I literally had to get the commissioner
Wow.
of the disability office to go to the vice chair of NYCHA to get my problem fixed.
Wow.
And I shouldn't have to do that.
Of course not.
No, nobody should.
Right.
Shouldn't have to
Nobody,
do
nobody,
that.
everybody doesn't have that type
But it
of
also
access.
gives you a privilege, right? From the
Right.
fact that where you worked at,
Yeah.
right, that everybody doesn't have.
Absolutely.
So speak to that, like you're saying, it shouldn't have to be that way.
I mean, it's
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
This bullshit.
yeah, so that
Crap.
was
I
the
take
situation. But yeah, so I'm just here to get to
Are the-
chime in.
Are
on
the
convo.
conditions better
Yeah.
now? Better now?
Yeah, but I mean, we so a couple years ago, I think y'all remember when the whole private to public part,
Right, privatization and all that.
public-private partnership happened.
Mm-hmm.
My building was the first building under that deal. My building
Wow.
is owned by Citibank.
Oh wow.
So we got
Well, now this just got interesting.
Yeah. So y'all
how's it-
are privatized.
yeah.
So how's that going?
But hold on a second.
Okay.
Like hold your horses.
Not now.
Look. Okay.
There were new leases that would have to be. So
Yeah.
there's a management. So from my understanding, what was done, and again at that time, I was in the mayor's office. So there were a couple of buildings that NYCHA felt that they wanted to sell off to make some money.
Okay.
My building was one of, I think,
Lease. Was it lease or sell?
No, sell.
It's a sell? Okay.
Sell. Right. So my building was one of, I think, 5 buildings that they felt that was in sort of prime location.
Okay.
So my building got sold to Citibank, and what happened was Citibank did a management agreement with NYCHA. Right? So and we had to sign new leases based on that agreement.
Okay.
Where NYCHA still maintains. So basically, what they were saying, yes, Citibank still owns the building. They own the building.
NYCHA maintains
Talk to the mic.
the land.
Right.
Right. So that sounds like RAD. The RAD.
So it says NYCHA. Yes, even though Citibank owns the building, NYCHA maintains all management. Everything that you've been dealing with, NYCHA is going to be the same. They're not going to change anything.
Okay.
You ain't got to worry about being kicked out and all that stuff because.
That's a lie.
So, and my resident council, they're pretty active. You know,
Okay.
they're pretty active and they're pretty outspoken. I mean, we've had a lot of politicians come down into my area and speak about it and stuff like that.
Were they for it or against it?
They were against it.
But it still happened.
I mean, but it's, you know, like
So you pay your rent to who? Citibank?
no, my. It's,
I'm just saying, who collects the rent? I'm just trying
NYCHA
to.
still collects the rent.
But whose bank does it go in?
Well,
Does it go to Citibank? Like, I'm just trying to see.
This one sounds a little confusing.
yeah.
though.
This don't sound like this.
It doesn't-
Doesn't
yeah.
sound quite like that, but that's one of
Right.
the problems is that
Right.
you know I'm finding there's different models of it. You
Right.
know, like they're taking maybe a
Privatization,
development
yeah.
or a building in a development. You know,
It sounds like a lease.
yeah.
Well, what
It
they-
sounds like
so
they leased out the building.
So they.
And that's what Brenda said. Brenda said lease.
With the residents in my building, we still get a NYCHA bill,
Good evening.
Okay.
And
right? We still get the NYCHA rent bill, and that's what you pay.
okay.
Who does your repairs? NYCHA?
They contract it out to, you know, there's different contracts, but
Okay.
that's the problem.
And your
that's
cleaning too? Who's your cleaning done by?
NYCHA. Well,
It's still NYCHA look-
It's still they've contracted out damn near everything.
Okay.
Right. So there's these different companies. So they say it's NYCHA, but you know it's been contracted out
Yeah, they
to
have a lot of private contractors.
So very interesting.
whoever's doing the painting,
Right.
fixing your bathroom,
Outside contractor.
So it's not the regular maintenance
cleaning.
guy
No,
that
no,
we
no,
would
no.
have.
No,
Okay.
and
So what I want to know is, so you lived through the transition, correct?
because
Is the building better now or worse? Honest answer. I don't care. I want to know.
Wait, do it like the when you get your eyes examined. Is it better? Is it clearer? Is it better? Is it worse? Right?
You know,
Run it like that.
to be honest, at one point,
no, lie to me.
I'm not lying to you.
No, you said to be honest. Okay.
At one
I'm just
point,
talking. Go ahead.
at one point, it was better.
Okay.
But then things have been changing where some of the problems
Right.
that Stan and Saundrea have spoken about when it comes to repairs, now they take forever.
Right.
The lock on the front door, it was messed up. Like 2-3 years ago, if it was messed up, they'd fix it in like 3 days. Right? Like with the quickness.
Right.
This last time, where the lock was broken, it took them damn near a month.
Yeah.
Wow. Security.
Now,
So
I want people to hear that. You know,
Yeah.
that they've gone through the privatization. You know, I've been hearing this now because see, the problem that NYCHA is going to have is that the longer it takes for them to push this plan through, the more the evidence is going to come out.
But
You know,
also
so you're going
to-
to start hearing the stories.
and this
of
is what I
people
wanted to hear.
that
Right.
It's not better; it becomes
Right.
worse.
Because when it first happens, you'll get these people that'll jump on and they'll be like, "Oh my God, we got privatized and I love it and it's great." But then, right, what
Down the
happens
road.
down the road
Right.
when now they flip on you,
Yeah.
right? They flip on you like a Gemini.
And
right?
his
They
sound
just-
like a hybrid type model because he's
right.
still paying his rent to NYCHA.
NYCHA.
But here's the other thing about my neighborhood now. Behind my complex
LES.
is this building that Trump and his people put up. It's a new luxury high rise.
Making sense now?
Yeah.
Now, before that building, we had a path mark there. So if any of you
Oh,
had
half marks. They got it all about
right. So if any of you have been down on the Lower East Side, we had a path mark there, and because of Hurricane Sandy, it got destroyed.
Right.
So obviously the developers bought up that property and put a luxury high rise there,
Wow.
which is, I believe, is One Manhattan Plaza, and it's nothing but multi-million-dollar condos in there.
Wow.
So, and a couple of businesses started to move out the neighborhood because obviously
They can't
rent
afford it.
has gone up.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
So yeah, so it's a
Right.
I mean, it was interesting. I'm looking in the chat room, and Ann says the buzzer don't even work. They don't even care. They don't even seem to care. Brenda Temple says a percentage of residents must and need to be hired by the contractors.
Well, speaking,
Janet Jackson says the better part is when they just reeling you in after they don't care. Right.
Yeah.
So
She's
the
right
be-
about
yeah,
that,
the
but
better part is
NYCHA
they
doesn't
really do.
adhere to that. That's the
Right.
problem. NYCHA doesn't
speaking
adhere
on
to
the
that.
contract, I just read an article where there's
Oh, yeah.
9 contractors got busted. They're
Yeah, what was up with
bribing-
that?
Yeah,
Please.
they're bribing management offices now, in order to
Yeah.
get these contracts, and then they're not even doing the work
Right.
and overbilling and all this madness. So when we say that NYCHA is a criminal organization, it's like dealing with the mafia. We're not just saying that as like rhetoric. When you start hearing about
Yeah,
bribery and things of that nature happening, for these contracts, yet the work don't get done. And you're talking about millions of dollars that people are making and pocketing,
Yeah.
while people are suffering.
Right.
And this ain't just happening in Brooklyn. This is happening all throughout
Yeah.
with these contractors. And
So
not
how
just
does this
using-
work? So I come to you, right, and you're office management, I'm supposing, right?
Right.
And I go, hey, Stan, I want to get the contract for replacing the windows or something.
What they're doing is they're offering the manager because the manager office makes the decision.
Yeah, what
so
you
you're
want?
offering,
Okay.
Yeah,
they're
what you want?
offering the
Yeah.
manager
Want some
office
tickets?
money.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
They're offering
tickets
them
or something.
liquor.
Yeah, right.
They're offering them tickets to
Yeah.
ball games.
Yeah.
They're doing things of that nature to get these contracts.
Right.
And so the contractors and the manager officer are in cahoots, so to speak. And yet the work doesn't get done.
Right.
So
So-
that's a double scandal.
So are they supposed to put the contracts out for bid? That's
Some
my
of those
question.
I think are not, because I think I read that a little bit.
Right.
And the management has control over that. So
Altogether.
right.
the
so it
manager-
doesn't have to go
Into
through
a
the
bidding
bidding
process.
Right, they decide, and so
Right.
you influence that manager.
Right.
And you
Right.
give them a bottle of liquor. I mean, I read
Yeah.
literally
Right.
that they were giving people bottles of liquor
Right.
and money,
Yeah.
small amounts of money to get these
We
contracts.
could put the article in the chat.
Yeah, and-
It's from the Post, right?
Yes,
Was it
it's
Post?
in our group
That's
chat.
crazy.
This
So you
can't make this
sell,
up.
you sell them out for a bottle of liquor.
Yeah.
What the man? Let me tell you something. Wow.
What I told you over the phone, people do do
Yeah,
something
well,
strange
yeah.
for a piece of change.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we are the ones suffering.
Yeah.
So again, NYCHA really is like the mafia. I mean, I can't say it more plain than that. We're dealing with a criminal enterprise that does not care about any of us or anybody within those buildings, and trust and believe if this plan goes through and they win and there's no public housing, folks are going to be hitting the streets and they will be evicted. And that's just the bottom line. And I guess following up as we had from our last show, a lot of times people are thinking that we are attacking resident council presidents and such,
No, we don't attack people. Let's
Right.
stop that.
Right.
Let's stop.
Well-
Let that narrative get flushed down the toilet. Nobody
Right.
attacks anybody. If you're doing your doggone job and doing it right, nobody has nothing to say about you. If the shoe fit, I say buy it. That's it.
Absolutely.
If you're not doing it right, and if it hits, I mean, you know what? A hit dog will holler.
Right.
You heard that saying? A hit
Right.
dog will holler. So if anybody's complaining, a hit dog got hit and they hollered. Okay. go ahead.
And I would just like to add, doing the work. I mean, it's definitely important. It's important. It's important. It's important that that we fight with residents to get the repairs done.
Exactly.
All those things are important. But what I noticed in that situation that we're talking about, not to name names or anything like that,
No.
but if you're not fighting against the blueprint, if you're a resident council president, you're remaining neutral, on the issue of privatization, well, then that's where the problem comes in. We can all fight for repairs. We can all fight to uplift our residents, but we're in a war to
Right.
save public housing. So it's one side or the other.
Pick a side. I was gonna say pick a
Either-
side.
Either you for the privatization or you're not. And
look,
if you're quiet,
yeah.
then you're for it because you're not fighting
But
against
not
it.
trying to answer. Now I'm just going to say that last week, right?
Yeah, go on and let's get it. Let's do it.
No, because last week, right, we had a very spirited conversation last week, right? It was very straightforward, and the conversation had very little to do with us at the table versus us giving the voice to the people that came on last week, and it turned into something. You know what I'm saying? It turned into they were speaking their truth, right? They were speaking their truth. Now, as a media company, right, and what Boardwalk Global Media tries to do is you it's your voice. It's your voice.
Right.
You go on, you get on a show, you say what you got to say. I'm not here to go, you come on, but not you.
Right.
Or you come on and not you. No, just come on, you got your truth. And then...
Your truth.
Your truth.
Just be clear, your truth.
Right, speak your truth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then you had
come on
the...
and lie. Right.
And then, right, but Scott, speak your truth. Right, speak your truth. And then you had the
council president
who was in the chat room, who I was very fair with. I read everything he said.
Absolutely.
If he said it, they couldn't see it. I read it to him, and we went back and forth like that.
Yeah.
He is also invited to come on the show.
Right. I invited him.
He can come on the show, talk to Saundrea, come on the show,
him,
and go ahead on and speak your truth.
Right.
But the whole point of the conversation, right? Because sometimes as black people, we get bogged down in the mud with bull stuff. I told Saundrea I was going to curse. Right?
Thank you.
So we get bogged down with foolishness. And the whole idea of that conversation, the end result that I wanted to happen was for those 4 women that were on the Zoom and their resident council president come together.
Work as one. Maybe.
Work as one and become and do something for their community and for their building.
Because they both have the goal, same goal.
Right. They have the same goal, but they
for the residents.
Right, but they're both arguing about personal stuff. You know what I'm saying, about how much they don't like this person and that person, and they're bogged down and they're blinded. They're blinded, and this is what NYCHA wants. This is what any government wants. They want you to be blinded and bicker amongst each other, but not address the actual issue. This stuff been going on for thousands of years, y'all.
Slipped out.
You know what I'm saying? And y'all got to stop that. Y'all got to come together. We can't fix this thing the way that we're doing this current model. This current models are all very separated and all sort of negative and stuff. And we can't fix this thing if we continue down this path. You're gonna lose your homes. I'm telling you straight. Easy.
We are one.
Right.
This is
we gotta figure this out.
This is a huge problem with public housing, not only here in New York City but across the country. I said this to Stan, Saundrea, and Rock, that this is something that needs to, because of what has happened with public housing, especially here with NYCHA, this needs the Justice Department to come and investigate.
Of course.
Right.
I said it too.
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because trust me when I tell you, trust me, once the Justice Department says that they're going to look into public housing, watch their attitude, watch NYCHA attitude change.
Well, yeah,
but right now, because and as Rock was just saying, all this infighting and personal shit, that's not where it's at. Right? They want that to happen. Right? The bigger picture.
It's a distraction.
Right. The bigger picture is fixing the problem on a whole.
Right.
And this is where, if we're getting people like Senator Chuck Schumer and other politicians to come on.
Right.
The goal is like, look, we need public housing fixed, and we need to get the Justice Department involved. Because if it's not that, then everything else is not going to matter.
Right.
No, you're right.
They have to identify the criminality, yes, and I've said that before. Like even with the lead poisoning, right? The former chair, whatever her name was, told her something, right? She was able to resign, and you know what? Some people should have been prosecuted. And a prosecution does not mean somebody's going to jail. It's just a due process, right? Hold them accountable, but that did not happen. And then there's also a cloak of immunity that people are under, from our elected officials on down to people that are over NYCHA, right? So they have the qualified immunity and what other cloak of immunities, meaning that they can't be prosecuted and or you can't personally sue them. that's a problem. And
Absolutely.
you know, when we look at qualified immunity that was abolished here in New York City for police officers, yes, but why was it not abolished for all the elected officials, right? You can't get the lawmakers to actually abolish something that's going to impact them.
Right.
And that's some real talk that we need to talk on. And you might need to do that subject on hip hop, health, and politics.
Yeah,
for real.
we could check it up.
Yeah.
And going further into that, like if it's funded by the federal government. So if a management office says they did the work and closed the ticket, actually that's a lie.
Right.
And if they're being federally funded, which happens all the time, they say, well, I got repairs in my apartment.
Local, state, and federal.
You close the ticket without doing the work, then you lied.
Yeah.
And so if you
That's
have
fraud.
lied,
That's
that's
fraud.
fraud.
That's fraud.
And so then if that's fraud, then you should be prosecuted.
Right.
And this is happening throughout NYCHA, throughout various management offices.
Right.
You hear this complaint from NYCHA residents all the time.
No
Why aren't
accountability.
people going to jail?
No accountability.
People should be going to jail.
No accountability, because you know what? When you start going at the lower people, it trickles up. Because
Right.
corruption starts at the top.
Of
Right.
course.
Right,
Always
the little
something.
man can never do nothing without the big man already doing it.
Right, that's right.
So that's why everything is looked away.
Right.
Because if they would have prosecuted Shola, whatever her name is, then they would have been looking at the mayor too, because he put it in place.
Exactly.
So we don't want that. You know what I'm saying? That's how they work. We don't want that.
Right. So therefore, nobody gets prosecuted.
Exactly.
Not the top guy.
But our
not
kids
the
are
middle
suffering
guy.
with lead poisoning.
Right.
Our adults also have lead poisoning.
Right.
And a lot of people need to look at lead poisoning. It's not just impacting. If your kid got it, you most likely got it. So
Right.
get your blood checked also, because if you Google and check the illnesses that lead poisoning gives for adults, you will be surprised. Like, oh, why was I suffering with all these doggone headaches?
Right.
Like, if your kid has lead poisoning, please get yourself tested.
I got a phone call from a NYCHA resident
would like to
in
read
Ravenswood, and they first found lead in her apartment.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't remove the lead. Then sent her a letter stating another letter a year or two later that they got to come and inspect the apartment for lead. So lead was found in the apartment. And then they sent a letter 2 or 3 years later and say, we got to come back out and inspect to see if there's lead.
Do they want to find out if they abated it?
Right. So, so she's going to have her child tested and she's going to get tested.
Yeah.
She's going to get
She
back
needs
to
to
me
be tested too, though.
on this week.
Please
But,
tell her to get tested
this,
too.
This, this,
Yeah,
is, this is the kind of madness.
This is what they doing, Rob.
This is the kind of madness. I mean, it's madness.
I mean,
But
I'm
I-
here in the chat room. Chat room's on fire right now. NYCHA needs accountability. That was Kim Tyree. Anna
Kim.
George Watkins says, divided we fall, united we stand.
That's right.
Absolutely. And said true. Brenda Templeton says, counting on distractions, we must be focused.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Maria says, I was born and raised in Coney Island, and I've lived here in Coney Island. I'm 62 years old,
Bless
and
you.
I don't want to leave Coney Island. Brenda Temple, action, right? She's like, cut the head off of the snake. She's like, cut the head off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And
That's right.
Kim Tyree, she said they have, that her ticket for the refrigerator got closed out and the food spoiled.
So
my
that should
diabetic
be a
medication.
crime.
My diabetic medication expired.
Who said that?
This is Kim.
Wow.
Kim
Wow.
Tyree. And I have paint chipping on the gentleman. Oh, I had paint chipping, and the gentleman said, "Oh, we can't use this old paint like before."
Wow. Well, most of the paint, and as far as I am concerned, I would imagine a great majority of the apartments have lead in it, because the paint they were using at the time had lead in
base,
it,
yeah.
and so if you haven't removed it or, whatever the case may be, it's almost impossible for these apartments not to have lead
Right.
and asbestos and mold
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and all the rest of the things.
Yeah.
And it costs money. So I want people to know when you talk about the blueprint, they're not talking about removing mold. They're not talking about removing lead.
It's a
They're not
takeover.
talking about fixing leaks
about the takeover.
they're not talking about fixing leaks in the building or going into the walls and doing real restructuring. What they're talking about is cosmetics, to make you think that you have something good for a little while, and then it's gonna go back to what it was. The mold will come back, so will the leaks, so will all the other issues, and you will now be under private ownership, with less power than you had
Yeah.
that we have right now. So for the resident council presidents, we're not attacking y'all. If you are for the blueprint, well, we have to. And if you're silent about your position, then we have to attack
Well, can you use a different word? We're not necessarily attacking, calling you out.
or calling
right?
you out, or fighting you because
Or addressing you.
Yes,
or
exactly. Right.
addressing
Yeah,
probably a
right.
better
Yeah,
word. We
yeah.
have to
You don't
address
want to
it.
go on record because we not no, because we don't want people going around
we'll
talking about they
address
got
it.
private security. And
I mean,
stuff.
somebody here, what did they say? Someone said something about the tenant president.
Don't want no more lies.
Our old tenant president would just kept on mentioning that we would eventually be going to private, and when you asked her about it, she would just change the subject. So she said,
Who said that?
This is Maria. Our
Wow.
old tenant's president just kept on mentioning that we eventually were going to be private.
Were y'all in the conversation? Like, did y'all help with the decision making? Can you put that in there?
And are you private now?
She just would change the conversation. Yeah.
And that's what I'm experiencing
Right.
that with these
Right.
resident council
Yeah.
presidents and developments that I work in.
Because one thing I would like to say, like, okay, so we always say we got to hold our elected officials accountable, but we also have to hold our resident council presidents accountable.
Absolutely.
Because they like that they are elected.
Absolutely.
You
Right.
are elected, so if they're not doing what they need to do, you need to address it, call them out, and you know what, get a crew together on a board and run against them the next election.
That's right.
You know, but they I know it's not a paid quote unquote job unless they get in their stipend or whatever. It depends, but and that's a whole nother thing. Maybe next week Ty can talk about that. If they could get paid or whatever, but we're not talking about because we know it's a non-paid position. But with that said, if they're not doing their job, you can't hold them accountable.
Right.
Because they ran an election, they ran the race rather, and they won. And you know what? You're responsible for the residents, and
Right,
it
right.
should be the collective voice of the residents, right? So say if majority of the residents don't want RAD, why are you signing off?
Right.
What is possessing you to sign off for something that majority of the people don't want? If that's the case.
Well, we do know, and again, I'm gonna say it on every show,
Okay.
because it's not just rumors, and not every resident council president is getting paid. But let's be clear, some people are profiting and getting paid to push and promote something that's not for the best interest of the people they say they represent. And these are the facts.
Some cops are criminals. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not all bad cops, and not all. I mean, there's no all good or all bad in anything at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So that's and I just want to say this again.
But if they're getting paid, that's criminal.
Right. No. I'm just saying that across the board, there are good, presidents, and bad presidents, and that's kind of what that is. I'm not saying, and we're not saying that this president is bad and that one's good.
Right.
But here's what I will say.
Uh-oh.
I have yet to have anybody come on this show that could explain RAD. In other words, that why they are for it.
Right.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? No one's come on and said, I've heard, listen, we done did, I don't know, about 100 shows. I get why we're not for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
So you want somebody to come on? And
so
talk
I want
about
somebody
it.
to come on and talk about RAD and be like,
we'll work on
this
that.
is good. I want them to come on and say why they think it's good. I want to hear the idea.
We ain't gonna beat them up neither.
No beat up. Like, just come on and be like, yo, so why are you pro RAD? You know what I'm saying? Like, just
I
because
know somebody, but I think that's why they didn't come on.
yeah, and
council president.
and they could Zoom. You know what I'm saying? But then if you're not willing on coming on and speaking about it,
Exactly.
then that kind of means that
Something.
you feel like you did something wrong.
Of
Right,
course.
right.
I think most. I think people in those type of situations is just like politicians,
Well, very much
right?
so. Yep.
Right, where you put them on the spot. Like if someone passionately believes in something, I don't have a problem with that, right?
Right.
But if you're doing this and you can't come on and defend, well, look, I feel this is how it should be, or this is what the results show or the survey shows and stuff like that. If you can't have that type of conversation or discussion to talk about why you voted this way or why you signed off on this, then you're suspect.
You gotta call it like it is,
Yeah.
You're suspect, right? You're
Right.
suspect because if you're representing the people and you feel that this is something that you're doing for the people, so come on
Yeah.
and explain yourself.
And Brenda Temple said something interesting. She said, the ones that agreed now see the nefarious truth.
Yeah.
For some, it's too late.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Yeah.
You're invited to come on the show, too.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we need, for those of you that are thinking about going into this rad thing, I think you need to get the mentorship of someone that is already engaged in it, that it's already happening to. You know what I'm saying? And we need the new person, because I want to build the whole picture, right? And Gary kind of pointed out, you know, gave me a little bit, you know, of a picture, right? In the beginning, it was one thing. And then after time, it flipped to another thing. You know what I'm saying? So we need to have that conversation so that we can create a narrative and have a record and a recording, because, you know, once it goes on Facebook, there's a record and a recording of it, of this is what's going on. But in the chat room, let me see, a lot of residents here didn't know about the blueprint, and they didn't get anything in the mail. Now from Maria.
That's
Maria.
shocking.
Well,
Oh, wait, let me finish the room. The ones that agreed now see the virus truth. That was okay. Maria said, look up my development and you will read what happened.
Okay.
All about the money, Brenda Templeton, and I learned about the blueprint when I got a notice in the mail. That was Maria.
And that's kind of on the show because she's a resident that's going through it, so we want to hear the experiences. But that's part of it. You know, they pushed this through in a pandemic. You know, this is how criminal and nefarious it really is. You know, when you know people are suffering, going through pain. You know, as an organizer, we're not sure if we can meet in public, in person. You know, people got to come on Zoom and do this and do that. You know, and they know it's hard to organize in this environment.
Yeah.
But you going so fast to push it, because the longer it takes, the more the truth comes out.
Yeah.
The more there are residents who've gone through it will begin to speak and say, this is what happened in my development after we were privatized, and it ended up being worse.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're hearing over and over and over again. You know, for those who've been in those situations, it's not better, it's worse.
Yeah, and remember a few months, NYCHA had hired organizers knocking on doors, giving out information for the blueprint. And I talked on my terrace for a few minutes with one of them, and they wanted to connect with me. So basically, they were doing the work, but they weren't feeling the work they were doing. So why did you do but it's money, right? I guess they needed the money.
Right.
But, you know, it was just crazy because I was like, we're not for this. Like, a lot of us are against this. She said, I know. And she told me she was an organizer, and she mentioned we had some people in common that we knew. And that was like really strange. And then come to find out, they have hired some actual organizers to do the door knocking.
Wow.
So.
Wow. Well, that just tells you have money to hire an organizer, but you can't make there's no money to fix the repairs.
Yeah.
You know, so that don't tell you, you know, what their priority is and how they really feel. I don't know what will.
One thing they're big on is outreach, because when they were pushing the next gen for the infill for us, you know, outreach they have to do the outreach. That's part of before they can do anything is the outreach. So they have sent like all this literature to some people in the mail. There's a person that was a paralegal in Holmes Towers when they got a hold of it, because they're a senior in their 60s, never heard of the blueprint. And when they read it, they said, this is privatization.
100%.
Like, he knew right straight through it. And he was angry, you know, and I'm like, you didn't know about this? He was like, no. So it's like some of us knew about it many months ago, and some of us are just learning about it like 2 months ago.
Right,
You know,
right.
so
Now we have, you know, this kind of breaking news is happening right now.
breaking news.
And something that we need to address, right? Brenda Templeton says Wavecrest is evicting people now that the moratorium has ended. Residents are scrambling to apply for help.
Wait, so
It's not ended till January.
Yeah.
but they're evicting people now. She's saying, is that
She's saying people are being evicted right now.
Yeah.
That's what she's saying.
From where? What
From
you know?
this
What is
that's
that? Ocean Bay?
She said
Ocean Bay.
Wavecrest.
Ocean
That's
Bay.
Oceanside, Far Rockaway.
Ocean Bay.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if those were even if they were evictions on the court, on the court side, but they could be old non-payment proceedings.
Right,
that,
pre-COVID.
Yeah, so that might that could be the trick.
But it's not supposed to be happening, though, right? I mean, technically,
actually,
Still for the portage.
if it's pre-COVID,
Right.
then that might be the case.
Yeah,
But if it's
but
not
no,
pre-COVID,
they can't. They're under the moratorium.
Yeah, the moratorium goes until
To
January.
January.
Yeah.
well, we gotta look
Gotta
into
look
that.
into that.
We gotta
yeah.
look into that.
But
you know?
there was some proceedings that did go back into court. The
right.
right.
Well, Wavecrest is, we've seen the numbers there.
Yeah.
You know,
well, yeah. And then
in
what
Ocean
they
Bay,
rent it out market rate afterwards,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
it's a
So
win-win.
the story's getting out.
Yeah.
The story's getting out.
See, and I would like some of those residents to come on the show, right? The ones that they ended up paying market value, and maybe they were pro Blueprint or Rad or whatever was happening. I'm sort of like, I'm really kind of curious about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of a thing for me, really. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So-
once the apartment is vacant from an eviction, or the person dies or leaves, then they could rent it out for market rate.
Right,
But if
right.
you sign your new lease, you're still under the 30%, blah blah blah, all the same kind of things with
Got you.
a little less protection. But once you leave, then or get evicted, whatever, that apartment is
It's gone.
It's marketable.
It's
yeah.
now market value.
Yeah.
They don't have to do the
No
30%.
No.
And I do have somebody.
That's
there's
the
a
scam.
resident that's
That's the
speaking
scam.
at the Ravenswood meeting. She's from Ocean Bay.
Okay.
And so we're going to let her speak to tell the story because no one could tell it better than somebody that's actually gone through it. And she just basically said, yeah, people being evicted. Bottom line, they came in, they fixed it up, it looked good for a few minutes, but after a while, all the problems came back.
Did
And
she transfer?
She's transferred over here now to Ravenswood, but she was over there living, doing that whole process, and was able to explain to other residents that, don't believe the hype.
Right.
Don't believe the story they're feeding you. It's going to end up with you being evicted.
Right.
Bottom line, period. That's the end goal. That's the end result.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do. It's not even a hidden that type
Sad.
of thing.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I see it. I'm looking at it. If you make more than Brenda Templeton says, if you make more than Section 8 requirements, your rent automatically goes to market rate.
I'm not 100% about that. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Let's figure it out. Let's find out.
Because I know
if
they
that's
go.
what's
I know,
happening,
they,
that's
I know they
scary.
go around. Oh, is she talking about for rad conversions or NYCHA?
I don't know.
Because be
She
clear.
She's speaking about
She said if you make,
conversions.
she just says if you make more than Section 8 requirements, your rent automatically goes to market rate.
Yeah, but I don't
That's
know
all
if
it
she
said.
means for Ocean Bay or whatever, because NYCHA has a mixed bag of income, people. So there's people making $80,000 and $90,000 living in NYCHA and paying the 30%, but also there's the AMI, and then I've been in the office, so they have two formulas. So you want to go with the lesser formula, but if you're not present, they're going to go with the higher formula.
She said yes, rad.
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So there's a rad thing.
Okay. That's what I was
Okay,
going to
there you
say.
go. And that's what it's been rolling. That's what
Yeah.
we're talking about. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
You wanted to segue into something. Go ahead.
Oh, my man, Chris.
Yeah.
Chris Cuomo.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I did. You know what? Because that's my guy, right?
Okay.
And I
Everybody
really,
loves Chris.
He's right.
Everybody loves Chris.
I'm a CNN.
Everybody
junkie.
loves Chris.
I'm really upset about these allegations, and I think this is another assassination. And I think now the assassination is continuing with the family.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Now,
You're saying they're after them.
yeah. I mean, you got the brother. Now you got and now you got the other brother, right? You got the older brother. Now you got the younger brother. I mean, what are the allegations? He grabbed some.
I don't know. You gotta tell us.
Go ahead.
The woman who apparently was his boss at ABC. I guess she was the executive producer of a show, and she was his boss. She said that how he grabbed her butt at some event, and it happened, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago.
Right.
And I guess she was upset and her husband got upset. So, I just find it interesting that how serious is that? And then now this is what it comes out now.
Well, when it happened that long ago, it does make you wonder. If something was to happen, something like that happened, and why did you not mention it then?
I'm just saying, So, and and according to how I read the story, if you were his boss and he grabbed your butt,
Right.
You'd be fired, right?
Fired.
You should be fired.
I'm just saying.
Right? If you had it wasn't like you were his subordinate.
I'm surprised Rock didn't say taken out to the back, and I'll leave the rest blank. Y'all can fill in the blank, because that's something Rock should have been
You know what I'm
saying.
saying? I'm like, come on. It definitely should have came out then. That's number one. And two, she was his boss.
She was his boss, right? So I'm like,
Hey,
what?
Chris, you grabbed my ass. You're fired. Right? That, I mean, she had the power to do that, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Once again, an assassination. That's all I'm trying to-
But
Come on, this is crap.
Look,
This is
clearly,
crap.
look,
You didn't do it.
look, look what they did to Andrew. They obviously that was a political assassination, and now they're trying to do it to his brother.
Yeah, it was like a mafia hit. They're going after the whole family.
That's all it is.
So I just don't agree with it. And you know, and Chris, you know what? If you want, give me a call, man. We can chop it up. You're still my guy.
You tell your story. Come on one night,
You know,
Chris.
know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I feel really bad for him because I feel like, you know,
well, he had COVID too, right?
Yeah, he did have COVID.
And he shared that. He shared that.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, brought us into that.
For the whole nation to see.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
You know, moment by moment, on how he's feeling, what his body was like, and all these things. You know, I think cancel culture is going too far. I think cancel culture is going too far now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm you know, at this I'm afraid. I'm like, what's going to come out from me like 15 years ago?
Explain cancel culture to people that might not be familiar. Viewership.
Well, cancel culture is you say something that offends somebody, or you even speak a truth that offends somebody, and then everyone jumps on you, and they don't want you to, you know, they don't want to look at your show anymore, and they don't want to, you know, they don't want to talk to you anymore. Yeah, that's cancel culture.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I
think we face that.
We must have been canceled by a few.
Yeah, we've been canceled by some, but you know, it's okay.
But how much more we gained? Come on.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and you get this, I'm not, you know what? Listen, I'm going to tell you something straight, right? Somebody
said it happened when she was no longer his boss.
Okay. Is that what happened? Okay.
All right, Renee.
Okay.
That's my RLA.
She's on the story.
Resident Leadership Academy.
And Kim says, bottom line, they have to keep their hands to themselves. And I agree with that too. But what I don't agree with is I don't believe in 12 years and 15 years and 20 years, and then you decide that this is what you want to talk about. You know what I'm saying? If somebody does something to me, immediately there's going to be a reaction to it. It's not going to take me 10 years to think about it.
Well, I think you know, I'm in the middle. Like I didn't when the governor was going through whatever he was going through, I didn't pick no sides, and I am a woman, but you know, I just stayed quiet because I wanted to wait to whatever. And I still ain't jump on him because you know what? He is charismatic, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm with him. Of course, I'm against anybody that wants to harm a man or a woman, violating them in any kind of sexual harassment or something like that. Because I know what it feels like. I was sexually harassed with him in NYPD, so it's not an uncomfortable situation. And I made a report, and I was retaliated. So, and that was many years ago, and that's documented. But here nor there. These things are tricky. You know what I'm saying? And they're tricky to kind of to try to pick sides because we could say, oh, why would somebody not come out early on? But these incidents, some of them can be so traumatic, right? And now women and men have been empowered to speak their truth and to speak about their pain. That is easier. You know what I mean? You get more support. You know what I mean? But, you know, I don't know. So I'm like, if he did it, then what? You know, shame on him, right? If he did, but if he didn't, you know, what I don't like is no one to lie on nobody. Right. You know, if you know the history of the Scottsboro boys, when the two white women lied on those guys, and when they were finally released, and how their lives went afterwards, like, you know, people have been crying, you know, rape and lying for years, but yet and still, lying is one thing. But you harm the people that really have been violated because when they go to the police or when they go for help, they're looked at funny. You understand what I'm saying? They're not believed because of probably people that have already lied. So, and you know what? And you reap what you sow.
And now you're a sex offender and you didn't even do anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's. And I think this is part of the narrative that people aren't really addressing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we jump. These things are happening and they've happened, but you got to understand too, on the flip side of it, you know, these things have happened to us as a people, as black men sitting at this table where we get accused of something and we didn't do anything.
That's right.
But because you got accused, you did it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Central Park,
same thing.
Not even, she didn't point them out. She
didn't point them out.
Guys up.
And the question is, how many of you people that watch this show or any show believed that the Central Park 5 did it? How many of y'all were out there going, you know what? Yeah, those kids was wilding and they was bugging and look at what they did and so on and so forth. And you were wrong.
Yeah.
and you were wrong.
I remember-
And my point, you know what I'm saying? And my point being is that you gotta stop believing what the media is telling you and investigate it for yourself and stop taking sides.
Yeah.
I'm not taking Chris's side.
Right.
I'm not taking Andrew's side. I'm just saying that we tend to be very vocal
Yeah.
about stuff we don't know what we're talking about.
That's why sometimes I stay mute. I just don't say a word because I don't know. You know what I'm saying? If I don't feel strong about it, you know, and as a woman, like I said, that been through some things, I could feel for, you know, but I have to hear more. You know what I'm saying? I can't jump on somebody and I don't really have the facts.
Right.
And what are the facts? Even the AG's investigation, when he came out with something else, Cuomo, and I'm not defending him, but when he came out with something else, it kind of shifts like what was reported. Because he showed all the hugs and kisses and stuff like that, how he was. So, I mean, they said Biden is creepy, right? They did a bunch of clips with him, you know, how he hugged and hold on people. So, you know, some people are charismatic, though.
Well, look,
so.
I think that, I think what raises questions for me is the timing. We're in a very political climate.
Yeah.
Now, if these allegations are real, then I just think that they should have came out early at a different time. But just so, are you telling me that it's just a perfect storm with the political climate and everything happening? These allegations.
I believe that plays a factor.
Right.
Yeah.
And
even if it is the person's truth, I think it plays a factor. Yeah.
I'm just saying. So, is it a perfect storm that, you know, we have the political climate and these things just happen to come out? I don't buy that.
The whole thing is, here's the deal. That's right. Media is often a weapon to our detriment,
Of course.
and systemic, and 100%. And is it inappropriate?
Who said that?
Kim,
Was that-
that's
was that
Brenda. That's Brenda.
Okay.
And Kim, you're right. It is never appropriate. That's 100%.
Right. No.
However, when a false allegation is made,
Oh, yeah.
here's the problem with that. That person's life is ruined.
The other person, yeah.
When a false allegation is made, no one ever sees that person the same ever again.
Right.
And that's all kind of what I'm saying. I'm just putting. I'm not saying what happened to Chris or Governor Cuomo happened or didn't happen. But I think that we have to stop with the cancel culture of us just jumping on the situation and going, that's what he did. He did it. I know he did it, and we wasn't even there to do it. I saw a picture. A picture can be anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And can be interpreted many ways. And that's kind of my point, because now what this climate has done is it makes it difficult for you to even want to say anything, for you to even want to speak out against anything. You know what I'm saying? I find myself sometimes being sort of like, all right, let me watch what I say, because I might offend somebody. But then in the same token, I'm a child of the 70s and the 60s. You know what? I'm going to say what I got to say, and whatever it is what it is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that's how everybody should be. You should be able to speak how you want to speak. I'm not saying that you should, bash people or call people names. No, but don't be afraid to be uncomfortable in the situation and say you're uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, we have a First Amendment, so but still, it is tricky. The times, the climate, and people have abused. People have abused things too.
Well,
right?
look at. I mean,
Oh, wait. Kim said, she said, okay, what about Bill Cosby? He said he did it. Yes. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Bill
But
came
we
out.
also know he was railroaded also
Right.
with
He
some
was-
of those. Yeah.
But he did at least come out and say,
stood with him.
and the man came out and said, yeah, I did.
Well, it was the party, right? There was party drugs and
Right, yeah,
stuff,
100%
right?
first. Everybody was saying Quaaludes. But
Quaaludes, right? Yeah.
But exactly, Kim. He came out and said that he did it. And that's kind of the point, really, right? He came out and spoke and said, hey, you know what? I did do these things, and here's the reason why, and here's what it was. But he did not say that he didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? So there's no argument there with me. You know what I'm saying? I'm with you, So that's kind of the deal. I'm just saying you got to watch out for cancel culture, guys, because we're canceling ourselves out.
Yeah.
It's getting so bad.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I think with the Andrew Cuomo situation, the timing.
Yeah.
Because look, last year when COVID would happen, many people said that he led us through COVID in terms of,
He was a hero.
he was a hero. People calling him President Cuomo.
Yeah.
All of
My
this.
family in
running,
Florida was like raving about it.
Everybody across the country. Mm-hmm. So all of this stuff that came out now, so it didn't come out. It couldn't come out of a couple of years before.
Well, I think he was so, but I do want to say he was not a hero to me because while he was having those meetings every morning, people were dying in NYCHA every day, and they were not getting no help and all of that. So he was never
He's
no
not
president
your
to me.
hero.
I did not like him at all.
Who? What president?
I'm talking about Cuomo.
Cuomo.
He was on there every morning. Oh, we doing this and doing that. People were dying. I don't believe a word that came out of his mouth. Bye, Cuomo.
I did say he was a hero. Yeah.
Bye. Get out of here.
Wait, Kim said, "What about R. Kelly?" Listen.
Oh no, that's another show.
That's another show, Kim. And guess what? Once again, no argument here.
For a real discussion, we'll talk about that.
Once
That's
again,
a topic
Kim.
for Friday.
Kim.
Friday, you gonna do R. Kelly?
Yeah, we
They're
can
gonna
do R. Kelly.
Tune into real discussion. They're gonna do R. Kelly.
Kim, he did it. You know what I'm saying? There's no discussion here. I'm not arguing with you. Look, there's a video that you can see. You can buy it online. You can see that he did it. So there's no argument there. My argument is the Emmett Tills of the world, where they didn't do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because we can go back and forth all day on people that didn't do it and suffered the consequences of that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not talking about people that did it. I'm talking about the people that didn't do it. And what I'm saying is we are going to have another Emmett Till if we keep this up. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. If we keep this up, we will have another Emmett Till. Because we're going to all jump on some boys or some men that didn't do it, and then they will suffer the consequences that will either take their life or they will be affected by the rest of their life. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not here for criminals, but I'm watching a trend that's building of this cancel culture. And one day we will have the 3 black kids that got blown up in Alabama in the church.
In the church, yeah.
The way that we're moving, this is the direction that we're heading. I'm watching it in real time. So that's all that I'm saying about that. And, you know, y'all can tune into the real discussion where we get into this kind of stuff. We just kind of wanted to kick the last 5 minutes of the show about just something other than NYCHA.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
All right,
But we have 510.
All right. So next week we will have a resident council president on from Lafayette Gardens.
Yes, where I'm from.
Tyree Steinbeck. I hope I'm saying his name right. He is booked, and he will be on the show. Please tune in so you can hear about the work that he's doing, and he's going to share things probably that we're not privy to just know if you're not a resident council president. So he's going to be very transparent, and he's very talkative. He's a colleague with Renee and I, and the rest of my colleagues in the Resident Leadership Academy. So he's gonna bring it.
And
it's
so
good
therefore we're not against resident council presidents.
Never have been.
We never have been.
Never have been.
We're if you're not for the blue, if you're against the blueprint, we're cool with you. If you're quiet about the blueprint, we're not
looking
cool
at
with
you. We're looking at you.
We're going to address you. And that's how it should be because we're in a fight.
What Kim said.
Kim said, "Peace and blessings, y'all. Let's get them sandwiches, Rock Logic."
Oh, the sandwiches, right? When she was here, yeah. Ooh, sandwich night. Okay.
It's sandwich night.
Is he buying some sandwiches today? That's what you getting for us, Kim?
Yeah, that's she's talking about.
You getting it out there?
Let's get them sandwiches going.
All right, so y'all remember, a hit dog or holler. We about to lift off.
Yes.
One night you're one people.
One night you're one people.
One night
Sure.
you're one people.
No doubt. Just so that you guys know,
Thank you.
tomorrow we got Maria Davis. It's at the bottom. She's streaming at 5 o'clock. Ralph McDaniel was on her show last week, and this week it's going to be, oh my God, I forgot the guest. Gary, who's the guest? Jimmy Love.
Jimmy Love, he used to be with Uptown Records. He was one of the original executives at Uptown Records.
So that's going to be, you'll see that on Maria Davis's page, and
Tuesday.
we start the new show Tuesday, right? Which is
Q Media Nation, Tuesday night from 8 to 9.
8 to 9.
right. And let me just put Jeff up real quick.
Jeff, yes.
And right after this show, at about 6 o'clock, you have Perspectively Yours, streaming on Sundays at 6 o'clock.
Jeff, he's a teddy bear.
And that's big old Jeff. And y'all might, you know what? After all this stuff we was talking, you might want to tune in to Jeff's show.
Go check Jeff.
Because I think it'll work for you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's on a page called Perspectively Yours on Facebook. And he talks a whole lot of mess that you might want to get into.
Yeah.
That ain't that heavy.
Read my shirt before you go. Let people know where I'm from.
Straight out of Isaacs, a crazy mother named Saundrea.
Yes.
Whoa! We out of here.
One night, you one people, y'all.
Lifting off.
Peace.
One night, you one people. That was hot.